Thank you. Mr. Huelskamp, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate your continued leadership on so many issues, and appreciate the opportunity to question the acting secretary. And I want to bring attention first to a very famous publication, Life magazine, May 22nd, 1970. I presume you're somewhat familiar with this publication, and also the photo that gained much attention across the country of, again, May 1970, in which the VA was found to have abused the trust and neglected our veterans. And Mr. Gibson, I think we sit here today, and that's the same topic. How are we going to restore the trust to our American veterans and to the American people? And what I've heard from you today so far has been that if we will give you another $17.6 billion, somehow that will restore that trust. And I don't think that does that for my constituents, certainly not for my veterans. And I have some very specific questions I'd like to ask of you. First of all, have all secret waiting lists been eliminated and identified?
To the best of my knowledge, yes, they have.
Well, you've identified, at least Mr. McCloskey identified those on the electronic waiting list, but as my understanding, there are 18 different schemes identified internally. So you're absolutely certain that every one of those waiting lists have been identified.
I don't know where the number 18 comes from.
Oh, well, that comes from the OIG report, and actually from a memo in 2010 that came from your department. I just say, if we're going to restore trust.
The IG's in over 80 locations right now, and I'm not privy to what they're finding. So that's why I say, to the best of my knowledge, they've been uncovered. But until the IG completes their reviews in all those locations and comes back and issues their reports, I can't tell you that definitively.
Well, how do we restore that trust if we don't know the extent of the problem?
I think you start where you are.
You start by spending money.
You start where you are. You start by articulating expectations about how we're going to operate. You start by getting veterans off a wait list and into clinics. You start by fixing the chronic scheduling problems that exist within the organization.
Well, how do we know we're achieving progress? What we've heard, and I'm sure you're aware of, numerous employees from the VA have come before this committee and identified falsified data, fake data, presented to this committee. And you come in here today and again present data and say, hey, we're making progress. How do we restore the trust that we can actually believe the data you're presenting to the committee?
I would tell you when I directed all the medical center directors and vision directors to go out and spend time in each of their clinics and engage with their schedulers, you know, people have asked me, well, gee, that doesn't sound like much of a check and balance because they're on the inside. The real motivation behind that direction was for them to be out there on the ground and to take ownership for the quality of health care that's being delivered, including the timeliness of the health care that's being delivered.
Well, the whistleblowers that I hear from, Mr. Secretary, I'm short on time, they're saying that has not changed.
We're coming behind that. We're coming behind that with an independent audit. Comprehensive audit of scheduling practices all across the organization, because we need to restore that trust.
Has anyone lost their job for retaliating against brave whistleblowers?
No, there is not. There are two whistleblower retaliation referrals that have just come from the Office of Special Counsel. And I've got Tuesday morning, I'll have investigators on the ground pursuing those.
How many ongoing investigations are currently underway for investigating these retaliation complaints?
Oh, the number is 70 or something.
70.
The number's huge.
And so we're going to hear about 2, and the other 68 are still ongoing?
These are ongoing at the Office of Special Counsel. I'm waiting for the Office of Special Counsel to provide me the results of their investigation.
So what are you doing about it? What we heard from whistleblowers is, let me describe what we heard from whistleblowers. Maybe you didn't hear that. But they said we get an email once a year that says we have a right to whistleblow.
What I can do is...
And then we are faced retaliation. I'm hearing this still going on today.
I have no doubt that it is. I can articulate over and over again the expectation that we're not going to tolerate that behavior. But until I've got a set of facts that I can act on, I can't take the action. I can't take the personnel action. And so nobody's more anxious than I am to have that opportunity. That's why, in fact, this morning I checked again. Have we gotten anything from the Office of Special Counsel? The answer was yes, we just got 2. Tuesday morning we'll have investigators on the ground at that level.
I requested in the last meeting, following the last meeting, information of contacts between a whistleblower here that had contacted the chief of staff to the president. I don't believe we received that information. Your department can look into that. You have access to the information. You just need to call Mr. Neighbors. That hasn't been looked into. That hasn't been responded to. These are very serious allegations, Mr. Secretary. I presume we're going to have a new secretary in a couple weeks. But to come in and say, we're going to restore the trust, but we haven't addressed the whistleblower problem because that's somebody else's job. That if you give us $17 billion...
No, it's not somebody else's job. It's my job.
No, it's the OIG's job.
I just can't take action until I've got the results of the investigation.
From the OIG.
Either from the OIG or from the Office of Special Counsel, one or the other.
Have you issued any new statements to the VA system about whistleblowers?
Yes.
Okay, could you provide that to the committee? I yield back.
Yes.
Chairman.